Well, joining us now is one of the people who was banned from Facebook. He's also been banned from Twitter, Apple, and just about everywhere else online. InfoWars founder Alex Jones, thank you for your time this evening. Good to talk to you.
Hey, it's good to hear somebody knows what they're actually talking about, because in this latest round, they don't even say what I was banned for, but then the news says anti-Semitism, when everybody knows I've been pro-Israel for 25 years on air. Just like they say Trump says he hates all Mexicans, where's the video? It doesn't exist. And a month ago, Facebook did a big investigation when the left complained that I was an anti-Semite, and found, okay, there's some anti-Semitic comments in some articles, 4% of what they reviewed. And so they didn't remove me, but then a month later, they went ahead and did it, as you said, violating Section 230 and then defaming me and 3 other conservatives.
Well, Alex, let me stop you right there, because I just want to get something clear from the outset here that, you know, we wanted to have you on the air to give you a fair hearing on this, but I also want to make sure that everybody watching this at home knows that Newsmax is not affiliated with InfoWars, and we strongly reject some of your previous conspiracies theories about 9/11 and Sandy Hook and Pizzagate, and we'll talk about those coming up. But like I said, we've been closely watching Facebook, and thank you for your compliment, because this is something that's very important because it affects so many people. I didn't want to cut you off, but I wanted to make sure we were clear there, so go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
Sure, but I want to be specific. You know that, I mean, if you go back and look at all this, everything they say I said about 9/11 is distorted. Everything they say that I said
Right. And I'm going to give you a chance, Alex, to talk about that coming up. But I want to stay on this issue, on the legality of this, really, because what I laid out for you, because I do feel like, and a lot of people,
like,
you know, they might not like what you have to say, but you are being unfairly targeted.
Well, I mean, all over the news it says I was taken off for being an anti-Semite. That's insane. I mean, so look, here's the bottom line of what's going on, okay? As you said, these things operate as utilities. They're monopolies now. They go and tell Congress they're not censoring conservatives, but we have their internal emails. Project Veritas has gotten them. Google did internal videos when Hillary lost, saying we'll never let this happen again. And so a month ago they tried to ban me, but their own manager said none of this is true. They went and looked about the complaints. That, quote, I said nobody died at Parkland. They said he didn't say that. Or that Jones was currently saying this about Sandy Hook. It wasn't there. Or that Jones says he hates Jews or whatever. It wasn't there. So I support people's right to say that stuff anyways. I didn't say it. So what they do is they air edited tapes, scrambled things like Megyn Kelly did to me, and then they take stuff that isn't even congruent that I say an hour later in a broadcast. They edit it together. So that's how deceptive mainstream news is the president talks about all this fake news. So that's the real problem. But here's what's scary. Let's just move on past Alex Jones. They used me 9 months ago with the first big ban of a few of my channels on Facebook, my big channels on YouTube, my 40-something million subscribers, on iTunes, our podcast. We had 3 podcasts together, 40 million. That hurt us, okay, because those were people, millions a day, opening up those podcasts. And now they come out and act like I'm banned from all these places. They left all our other little channels there because they couldn't find fake strikes to take us down. Under massive lobbying by the left and by Media Matters, they took them down, and now they put a press release out that was published all over the place where they said anyone saying anything nice about me or Infowars.com that they will now. They don't explicitly condemn
Well, Alex,
me,
let me tell you this, too. We promoted this interview on Facebook today. They did not take our ad down, our promotion down, promoting this interview. But I want to, again, focus on this issue of Section 230, because it's not so much about Alex Jones, but it's about what Facebook is doing to people like Alex Jones. I want to focus, too, on last year's hearing with Zuckerberg at the Senate. Senator Ted Cruz asked the Facebook chief about his position, whether he was a platform or a publisher. Here is Zuckerberg. It's kind of long, so bear with us.
The predicate for Section 230 immunity under the CDA is that you are a neutral public forum. Do you consider yourself a neutral public forum, or are you engaged in political speech, which is your right under the First Amendment?
Well, Senator, our goal is certainly not to engage in political speech. I'm not that familiar with the specific legal language of the law that you speak to, so I would need to follow up with you on that. I'm just trying to lay out how broadly I think about this.
And Alex, I think what was so damning about this exchange is that it shows, even a year ago, that Zuckerberg, and probably even before that, didn't have control of his platform and doesn't quite understand this law that has allowed him to grow his wealth to about $85 billion.
Listen, if anybody believes Zuckerberg doesn't know Section 230 and the entire foundation of the Telecommunications Act since 1996 and 2000, that's like saying somebody can't find their ass with both hands, okay? Their whole system of liability protection of any website that has comments or anything, where if you have an email service and then somebody says child porn, you're protected under 230 because you didn't know. That's like him saying he doesn't know what the sun is or what birds are in the sky. So again, they play dumb to Congress over and over again. And listen, Newsmax is on thousands of TV stations around the world. Literally, I know you're on thousands. You're on hundreds of TV stations.
We're available in 65 million homes, Alex. 65 million homes on different cable platforms.
Yeah, so they didn't go after you as a big fish. They pick on everybody else. I have their damn press release.
But they have gone after us in the past, Alex. They have gone after us in the past.
No, I'm saying this is yesterday. They said if you say anything nice about Alex Jones, we will restrict you or ban you. Now, they're not going to go after you for that because you're big and established. They want to play dumb like they did to Congress, play stupid. But to their users and to thousands of emails we've gotten since yesterday, thousands, people are being banned and blocked that interview us, sir. So what I'm telling you is this is draconian to tell their users we're watching you. And if you talk about, it gets worse. Oliver Darcy, who helps quarterback through the media, all this tattletaling and taking people off the internet, he was on yesterday, and he said WhatsApp that Facebook owns, we're looking and talking to Facebook to see if Jones has WhatsApp on his phone. We're going to have it deleted and he can't use it. I don't use WhatsApp, but WhatsApp is like Signal. It's just a digital phone system or text message. They now want to go in your phone and tell you who you can call or who you can talk to. And now MasterCard he's saying they're going to hire these, quote, human rights commissions.
Okay, Alex, you're starting to lose me here. I heard this explanation. I heard the audio clip of this earlier today, but you're starting to lose me. You know, and again, going back to what you were saying before about does Facebook know who's getting censored? I want to also focus, Ted Cruz talked about this in the hearing too. There was a Gizmodo article in 2016. These are some of the other people who have been banned, at least temporarily, from Facebook. They've suppressed stories about Mitt Romney, the Lois Lerner IRS scandal, stories about Glenn Beck, stories about the Drudge Report, stories about Chris Kyle, the former Navy SEAL. That's right. They also suppressed stories about Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day. They also blocked Trump supporters Diamond and Silk and their 1.2 million Facebook followers after determining that they and their content were, quote, unsafe and unfair to the community. Now, Mark Zuckerberg was asked by Ted Cruz about how he is trying to police the workforce at Facebook, making sure that there is not one dominant political ideology. And here's what Zuckerberg said again. This is from April of last year.
I'm very committed to making sure that Facebook is a platform for all ideas. That is a very important founding principle of what we do. We're proud of the discourse and the different ideas that people can share on the service. And that is something that, as long as I'm running the company, I'm going to be committed to making sure is the case.
You know, a lot of Democrats accused the Attorney General of lying yesterday, but none of them accused Zuckerberg of lying when he said that. You think there's no doubt that he knows what he's talking about, but he was up there bald-faced lying to Congress.
Absolutely. We have the internal memos. We have the internal documents. I got emails a month ago that were in Business Insider where they were trying to take me down. They said, but we can't find anything. Headline, leaked emails reveal Facebook's intense internal discussions over Alex Jones, anti-Semitic posts. And the posts were comments on Facebook by people saying I work for Israel and saying anti-Semitic things to me, and I'm not even Jewish. This is mental illness. And now
right. And this again, Alex, underscores my point about Section 230. They're holding you responsible for comments that people are making underneath your pages, but they're not held responsible for anything that is put on Facebook by the government. And that's what's not fair about this. All right, we got to take a quick commercial break, Alex. We're going to come back with you. I got more to talk about. I want to give you a chance to share your updated position on things like Sandy Hook and 9/11, et cetera. Alex Jones from InfoWars is coming back. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to Newsmax Now. I'm John Bachman, and back with us, InfoWars founder Alex Jones, to talk with us more about the newly imposed Facebook ban he is under. Also banning controversial figures like avowed anti-Semite Louis Farrakhan, Laura Loomer, Milo Yiannopoulos, and others as well. Now, Alex, a while ago, PBS Frontline did a heck of an expose on Facebook. They talked about their legal battles with the federal trade commissions, about their deceptive data sharing practices. Here's Trump's 2020 campaign manager, who was his digital chief back in 2016, Brad Parscale, talking about Facebook and the campaign. Take a listen.
No one ever complained about Facebook for a single day until Donald Trump was president. The only reason anyone's upset about this is that Donald Trump is president and used a system that was all built by liberals. When I got on TV and told everybody after my interview of what we did with Facebook, it exploded. The funny thing is, the Obama campaign used it, then went on TV and newspapers, and they put it on the front of a magazine, and the left and the media called them geniuses for doing that.
Now, not just with your case, Alex, but with others, do you think that is part of the motivation by Facebook, that they're just bitter, the fact that Donald Trump won the 2016 election and they're out for revenge for people like you or for other conservatives?
Exactly. We know what's going on. I mean, there were statements about Google by the head of Google, Schmidt at the time, and then statements by Facebook executives back in the 2016 campaign saying Hillary Clinton and the Democrats basically own Facebook, own Google, own Twitter. We all know that. And so they were allowed to use it. They were allowed to target people. They were allowed to data mine. But then Trump did just a little bit of what they do. And so now Soros and the left and everybody turned against Facebook the last 2 years and have been basically trying to take them over to make sure that, no, Republicans don't get any access to it. And so they just pick me as a flamboyant person, somebody they can take out of context to be the straw man, so that if conservatives don't stand up for me, well, they won't stand up for anybody after I'm taken off. And then that kind of blew up in their face last year, so now they picked Louis Farrakhan. There were headlines yesterday in the Washington Post saying, you know, right-wing leader Louis Farrakhan and Alex Jones taken off. Louis Farrakhan has nothing to do with Jewish Laura Loomer and Jewish Milo Yiannopoulos, who's gay, and Alex Jones. They and Paul Watson of Infowars.com and Summit.news. And so they're literally just trying to take our bank accounts, our credit card processing away, the software we use.
But Alex, you know, I'm sure there are people out there, and a lot of them who would say, you know what, this might not be fair to target people like Alex Jones, even though, you know, there are, you know, terrorist websites and Facebook pages and Instagram pages that still exist. But, you know, Jones deserves this because of what he said about Sandy Hook or Pizzagate or 9/11. These people genuinely believe that you are spreading hate and inciting violence, you know, as was the case with Pizzagate.
Yeah, well, they call me dangerous. What happened with Pizzagate is it was in the WikiLeaks, all this weird, bizarre stuff. Everybody covered it. Then the news focused on a pizza place. We covered it, and then they said that we were the ones that created it. On the case of Sandy Hook, barely ever even talked about it. And then Hillary, 3+ years ago, started editing tapes of me together where it sounded like I was saying things out of context. So I said, hey, that's not where I stand. I don't think that. And as soon as I said that, then I got sued. Oh, look, you admit you're wrong. And then you talk about 9/11, the 49 or 47 pages or whatever it is, shows stand downs, shows prior knowledge, shows that we knew what Saudi Arabia was up to and didn't do anything. Now, the media always misrepresents what I said about Inside Job or what I said about Sandy Hook. I'm very clear what I've said about everything that is in long form, long discussions. But it doesn't matter. In America, we have free speech. In America, we have a right to say the ideas and things we want. And the left is trying to walk the First Amendment to the gallows. And a lot of conservatives and nationalists and people have been tricked into not defending it. They also get tricked and say, well, you know, these are private companies. These companies, as you said, have Section 230. They're not supposed to be publishers. They're supposed to just be basically telecom communication systems.
But also at the same time, Alex, is it fair to say that you didn't understand the power of your platform?
Yes, I think that that's absolutely true. If you go back 5, 6, 7 years ago, we were already so huge that I would do hypotheticals with listeners. I would say, we're doing 4 hours live radio. There's 2 views on this. Everything you're told on 9/11 is true, or everything you're told is a lie and it's totally staged. The government did it. Or I would entertain and do long form discussions of, and they can edit that to then make it. So now I don't do that anymore. I don't do hypotheticals. I have to control myself. Even when I say before something, this is hypothetical, I'm not saying this. This is just what people are saying. I don't even do that anymore because the media, the controlled establishment, leftist media is so deceptive.
Yeah, I mean, you know who they are. It's that famous quote from the football coach. They are who we thought they were. And that's why I think, you know, some people might get frustrated with you, Alex, and they know that the media is going to re-edit your stuff. They know that there are ways, and you talked about those just a second ago, ways you can kind of change the way you do things to avoid putting yourself in a situation like you did
I fell into it.
with the Sandy Hook
take
case.
Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly. I've been saying I thought Sandy Hook happened for years. I barely even ever talked about it. I was covering other people's theories, okay? And a lot of stuff gets staged. People have a right to question. She says, I'm not coming to Austin about Sandy Hook. She gets here. She's at my office 8 hours. She sits down with me for 3 hours. All she asked me is about Sandy Hook.
We heard the tape. We heard the tape you released with her, and I don't want to talk too much focus on Megyn Kelly, but we do have to unfortunately go to another commercial break. But Alex, can you stick around? Can you stick around for another segment? We'd love to have you. I got some stuff I want to talk to you about, some ongoing lawsuits and stuff, and also want to talk to you about what your plans are in the future now that you don't have these powerful platforms. All right, Alex Jones is going to stick around with us. We're going to talk a little bit more about his situation, his being banned on Facebook, and other conservatives being targeted by social media sites as well. All right, welcome back to Newsmax Now. And back with us for more InfoWars founder Alex Jones to talk about this newly imposed Facebook ban. All right, so Alex, I want to talk about some ongoing lawsuits, and specifically Houston attorney Mark Bankston, who represents the parents of children killed back in 2012 at Sandy Hook Elementary and the school massacre there. There's 3 different lawsuits, and Bankston says you and your attorney Robert Barnes have put him and his wife at risk based on things that you've said on your show. And he's reviewed, according to an article in the Austin Statesman, thousands of emails sent to InfoWars, and he was, quote, stunned by the number of disturbed and mentally ill individuals that have fixated on InfoWars and the narratives pushed in their videos. Now, there have been numerous harassing and indeed violent confrontations between unhinged InfoWars fans and targets of Mr. Jones' conspiracy theories. That's from Mr. Bankston, the attorney there. And also there was that case in 2017 of that woman who was sent to prison for 5 years for threatening the parents of a Sandy Hook student. So going back to what you were saying in your admission there, that you feel like you didn't understand quite the power of your platform, that might be hard for some people to understand, Alex, and accept.
Well, again, that's all. Earlier what you said, just a bunch of made-up stuff by Democratic Party, lawyers and people. Oh, a woman went to jail. Sandy Hook, a person. Why? I'm suing Alex Jones, and then it's public, and then people have been mean to me, and I saw emails. What does this mean? I mean, the Democrats are trying to take Trump out of office. They're trying to ban everybody's free speech. You go to any public event Democrats are at, they attack any conservative camera people. They're trying to run everybody out of restaurants. Maxine Waters says, run them out of gas stations, run them out of shopping malls, run them out of grocery stores. If you see them in public, you run them out of there. Where's the video of me saying be violent? Where's the video of me saying you get in there and you run them out of stores? It's made up. That's what they do. They say Trump.
But that woman actually did go to prison, and she said, I'm not, and again, I'm not blaming you, but that's not a made-up story. A woman was sentenced to prison. No. Right?
No, that's not
a woman in Florida.
You're just reading talking points. I don't even. There was some schizophrenic woman who at sentencing, they said, we won't put you in jail if you say Alex Jones made you do it. I mean, these are a bunch of political judges. It's all a giant joke. It's just PR they put out. The same news says I'm an anti-Semite and was banned off Facebook yesterday. The same news says that I say there's Martian slave colonies on Mars of humans. $1 million if you have me saying that. Most of this stuff is 100% false. But you know what? It's working like a charm. Because when I come on these shows, we don't talk about the globalists or the Chi-Coms openly funding Joe Biden. We don't talk about open borders and massive tuberculosis and diseases pouring across and nobody getting tested like they used to at Ellis Island. We don't discuss how the Democratic Party is openly trying to cause a race war in this country. We just talk about what Democratic Party lawyers who, like, take that guy you just mentioned. He's all over the news, constantly attacking.
And just to be clear, Alex, all 3 of those things you mentioned, the last thing we talked about ad nauseum, the thing you mentioned before with the diseases coming across the border, I spoke to Michael Savage, who's actually an expert on that topic in the past. We've talked about those things here on the show, but there are specific things. This is the first time. I know, but this is my first time getting a chance to talk to you, so we got to kind of hash this out. And we'll leave that stuff aside because I also want to talk to you about some other stuff.
I've been on other shows, and they want me to do it over and over and over again.
I know, and we'll have you back to talk about some of that other stuff as well. But I wanted to ask you about President Trump. He's been on your show before. His campaign even linked to an InfoWars article. Do you think President Trump would ever come back and do an interview with you?
I'm not really worried about that. He tweeted today against Paul Watson and others that are on my platform being banned. And people have to actually come to Infowars.com. They have to come to newswars.com or summit.news. That's Paul's great site, summit.news, to actually hear what I'm covering and actually hear what I'm saying and actually know what we're getting into. We said 2.5 years ago, Trump was being illegally spied on, and I received from the DEA the secret NSA transcripts and published them bigger than WikiLeaks and got no coverage with Trump's all his private phone numbers, how he was being surveilled by Obama going back to 2012 or whatever. I released the secret NSA documents. That's why they're coming after me. I laid out how they were sending the FBI to everybody trying to set them up. They tried to send people to me to offer me money.
Well, doing things, Alex, that nobody else was willing to do is how you became so popular. And, the big media, of course, is not innocent here. We could talk about the Covington Catholic story. We could talk about the big media basically accusing Brett Kavanaugh of rape without the evidence to do so. Jesse Smollett, we could talk about that case. We could talk about for 2 years, a lot of members of the media and pundits have been pushing this theory that Donald Trump's campaign openly worked and conspired with the Russians to win the election. Do you think some of those folks should be deplatformed? Some of those journalists, quote unquote, should be kicked off Facebook as well?
No. If Brian Williams wants to get up on air and say he was shot down by a rocket-propelled grenade, an RPG, and he's this big hero, he's a fact checker. He has a show about fact checking where he fact checks myself and Donald Trump and everybody. It's a joke. So no,
Don't forget about the Hurricane Katrina as well. Can't forget about that story.
Well, Hillary said she was in Bosnia and got shot at on a tarmac. It's all lies. So here's the thing: leave everybody on air. And remember, America used to operate that way, and let everybody actually tune into things and decide what they really want to hear. Here's why I'm banned. Even with their almost total ban of 9 months ago, they looked it up, and most of the top Twitter stories and most of the top YouTube stories and most of the top Instagrams, as they bitched and complained last week about Joe Biden and everybody, were our videos. Joe Biden has had brain surgery. Joe Biden, they said in the Associated Press, had a 50% of coming back in 2008. Joe Biden was in his main launch speech in Ohio and wasn't just slurring his words, he couldn't talk. He was obviously having some type of aneurysm or stroke or convulsion. And I
wouldn't be,
is Joe Biden,
Alex.
Is Joe Biden having a second stroke? That's why we're banned.
That's where I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to stop you there. You're not a medical doctor. You can't make that stuff, but we can check the video and see for ourselves. But Alex, great talking to you.
I said, is he having a stroke? Is he having a stroke?
Okay, that's how you do it. You ask. Hypothetical situation, maybe leave it open-ended.
Is he having a second stroke? Well, remember all
that'll keep you out of trouble. Alex, I have to run. We got to go to. We'd love to have you back sometime. Again, anytime. Let everybody know where they can get Infowars since they can't get it on Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else. Let them know where they can go to get the information.
Infowars.com, newswars.com. We're on Cloud TV, one of the last places. We're #1 on that. Boom, #1. Anywhere we are. We were #1 on Apple app till they took us down. #1 news app. Infowars.com, newswars.com. Go there. Hear it for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. And thanks for having me on. I'll come back anytime, and I really appreciate you and Chris Ruddy and all the other great journalists over at Newsmax.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for breaking news and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, then share it with your friends. Remember, you can watch Newsmax TV live on YouTube. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.